Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lions Pit podcast. I am your host, Nick Gomez. I'm here with my good friend, Dallas Dodd, professional MMA fighter. Kind enough to join us today. Dallas, how you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling great.
Yeah?
yeah. Sitting here and talking with you, I would assume, man, probably the coolest thing about having this podcast is being able to set some time aside to chop it up with some guys like myself who you're already cool with.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different, I feel like, when it's one-on-one.
Yeah.
In a setting like this. So hopefully you can learn something new about me and vice versa.
Yeah. Very intimate setting, yeah. This is, like we've been talking about, man, it's just such a gorgeous studio and blessed to be here. Yeah, having the guests that I'm going to have on the show and people that I've already had on, I'm like, man, I know I've been so fortunate to be put in front of so many cool people and get to meet some very, very interesting people. So I'm like, why not, through like my journey in fitness, why not kind of get some of these stories out here and get people out there and see how fitness has helped them, whether it's through sports or in life in general. Because I found it in a very crucial time. Like, I've been an athlete my whole life, and you know that. Like, I played baseball my whole life, played college baseball, but I never really lifted. Like, I didn't really like get into it. I was just, man, I was so reliant on God-given talent. Like, I worked hard in baseball practice, but like never hit the weight room. But man, I was obsessed with baseball. I'd go out there and I'd hit grounders to my teammates in the off season. Even like I had surgery on my thumb my senior year. And
before the season or during or after?
Before the season. It was after the summer season. So I had it in the
so
fall.
Enough time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had it actually. So I'd go out in the fall and I'd hit grounders to my teammates. And I had my arm in my cast. So I'd throw it with one hand and grab the bat and like hit it like that. It was so funny. I was just obsessed. And then I actually got the cast off. I was supposed to miss like the first 4 weeks of practice my senior year, and my coach was pissed. And he wasn't the biggest fan of me already from like the year before.
What happened? Did you get some trouble or?
Man, I honestly didn't make grades junior year, and it was such a bummer because my summer team. After my sophomore year of high school, my summer team won state, and I was one of the few sophomores that made varsity. It was me and one other guy that made varsity. Our baseball team was stacked. And so I make varsity my sophomore year, did fine then, kind of went through some little injuries, so like missed some playing time my sophomore year. But summer after sophomore year, my summer team was legit. I mean, we just beat the crap out of everybody. We probably won like 40 games that summer. And we roll through the state playoffs. We actually lose in the first game of this playoffs, and we make our way all the way back through the losers bracket and beat the team that beat us in the first round. We beat them in a doubleheader.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah, it was so funny. So before state, they'd have a home run derby. And I signed up for the home run derby. I was like our 3 or 4 hole hitter. Like I was pretty good.
How many guys get selected or?
For the home run derby, like every team had an opportunity to send a guy up there.
Okay.
And if teams didn't send guys, like other teams could send 2 guys.
So you're telling the boys, you're like, hey, let me.
Yeah, I'm like, and also like I'm one of the few guys because it was opening ceremonies. So I showed up in full uniform, dude. I am baseball through and through. Yeah. So I show up in full uniform. I'm wearing like pants, high socks. I always wore knickers, so high socks with the baseball. And then
classic.
Yeah, and I'm like stretching. I'm taking this serious. Like I was like, oh man. And the field we were playing at was Fort Marcy in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and it's a porch. It's like 290 to right, maybe 360 to center, and 310 to left. Which at that time for me, I'm like, oh. And my summer team, our head coach, his oldest son pitched D1, and his youngest son still plays for the Anaheim Angels, Matt Moore.
Oh, nice.
So he was our summer coach. So he was super legit, and so all summer long, he only let us hit with wood bats. But we get into the playoffs and it's aluminum bat, or we get into state, aluminum bat. So it's like, oh, all of us are like field day. We're like balls about to jump. We go out there.
We're pros. We're training like pros.
Yeah, and we were like, again, he was our head coach was super legit. Marty Moore, great guy, great individual. But we get out there, home run derby. We get like 10 pitches, and dude, I kid you not, I think I whiffed on like 6 of them, like just swing and miss. I'm like, who does this in a home run derby? So embarrassing. But anyway, so we get into the actual state playoffs themselves, and I light it up, dude. They write a big article about me in the newspaper. Like I hit 2 home runs. I hit over 500 for the tournament. I won a game on the mound. I was pitching one game.
Stop.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. I caught most of the games, but the one game I didn't catch, I pitched, and I won that game against our hometown rival, the Moriarty Ice or whatever. Yeah, so there's like a big write-up about me in the newspaper.
As far as like being like in your older teenage years, was that like the only time you ever pitched?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, after that, I mean, my arm was okay, but I was a good catcher because like my footwork and like I had an okay arm. Like my pop time was really good. Pop time's like the time it takes from you to catch the ball till it hits the second baseman's glove. So that's like a stat they track for catchers.
That makes sense.
And like anything under 2 for like the major leagues is considered pretty good. And in like late high school, college, I was hovering like around 1.9, 1.91. Yeah, so like my arm was
How many
pretty
times
good.
have you repped that? Just that?
Yeah, dude. Oh, countless times.
Yeah.
Countless times, dude. I would go, dude. So this is why I missed grades. I would go home, and I wasn't like a bad kid. I wasn't a bad student. I never partied or anything like that. But I would go home, and I'd set up a trash can horizontal on top of another trash can.
Okay.
And I'd walk 120 feet because that's the distance from home to second. And I would just launch baseballs into it or footballs. Like during football season, I'd throw footballs into a horizontal trash can.
Just repped.
Yeah, I would just rep that stuff.
You were
so
obsessed.
my footwork was really good. Popped on my arm was okay.
Yeah, getting that rear leg like loaded.
So that's why I missed grades. So fast forward. So after we won state, my high school coach comes up to me like after the game, like on the field still, and he walks me down the left field line. He's like, "Hey, I know you're only going to be a incoming junior this upcoming year, but he's like, I need you to be a leader. He's like, you were on varsity last year. We lost a lot of seniors. Our junior class is kind of mid. You coming in as a junior, even though you're not going to be a senior, he's like, I want you in the center of the huddle when we're stretching. I want you leading guys. I was like, hell yeah, like I'm about it. Like this is what I do. But dude, again, I was so distracted by baseball that I missed grades. And so going into senior year, he didn't like me because of junior year because I failed. I didn't fail, but I didn't.
He
make
put a lot of
grades.
responsibility into you. It sounds
And
like.
I didn't step up, dude. I felt so bad, dude.
Do you feel like you didn't step up, or you're saying just academically you didn't step up?
Academically, I didn't step up because I was
Everything
still out
else,
there
though.
like repping with the boys. I was throwing BP. I was hitting them grounders when I was in a cast. Academically, I messed up. Like I didn't hold up my end of the deal. And so senior year, I'm supposed to miss the first 4 weeks. I had my second surgery on my thumb. And within the first like 3 days, he gives out jersey numbers because he knows that I'm not going to be there. And he gives my number to an underclassman. And yeah, dude, because like I said, he hated me at this point. And I remember telling him, I'm like, man, I got my number on the side of my class ring. I was like, what? Like you gave my number away to an underclassman. You knew that, and they knew it was a big deal because Marty Moore, the head coach for our summer team, I told you his oldest son played D1. Bobby Moore was a legend around the high school I went to, and one of the best dudes I've ever met. But he was number 4, so they wanted to like retire his number after he went to college, but they knew I was number 4 coming up, so they let me be number 4. And then senior year, again, it's a big deal that I'm number 4. Senior year, he gives.
So it's
that
actually
number.
a very particular situation, and he knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. So he gave my number to an underclassman who didn't even play baseball. He was a football player, but friends with the best player on the team. So he let.
He was just suiting up essentially.
Yeah, and he was fast. Like I'll give him, he was really
he's
fast. Like he was a pretty good base runner, but you know, all in all, like not a good baseball player.
And he didn't even care that much either.
He didn't care at all. He didn't play after that.
He would have given it to you if you even like.
Yeah, probably.
He probably didn't even know.
So yeah, so I asked him, I'm like, man, I got my number on my class ring.
You have me looking like a clown, dude. Get my.
I know. He's
jersey.
like, well, this is what he tells me. He's like, well, I hope you can scratch it off. Dead ass told me that. I was like, dude, so Matt Moore, my buddy that pitches for the Angels, has had a great career. He actually just hit his 10-year mark, which is a big deal for the bigs. He catches me in the parking lot after that because he saw it all go down, and I was like, dude, I'm done. I am so done with this program. Like, I don't want to play baseball anymore. I don't want to play in college. Like,
because it felt like personal then.
Yeah, well, it was.
Yeah.
It was because it was such a small town, and everyone was related to everyone except for me. Like, my family moved into town when I was in 6th grade, so like I wasn't related to anybody out there.
Yeah, if it was like here in Austin, if you were growing up, you could just bounce to an even better
Yeah,
school.
yeah, and there was no other high schools within like 20 miles of where I was. So Matt catches me in the parking lot. He's like, dude, don't quit. Senior year, yada, yada, yada. Like, I was like, all right, cool. So Matt, like, talked me into playing. And
cool that he did that.
great that he did that. Yeah, Matt was a good dude. Matt is a good dude. Like I said, comes from a great family. But yeah, man, senior year was wild. Like, my last at bat of high school career, I hit a 3-run homer in the state playoffs to put us up by 3, and then we ended up losing in the bottom of the 7th. It was top 7, tied game. Awesome game against one of our rivals, Artesia High School in New Mexico, and we're tied 4-4 going into 7th, which in high school, that's the last inning. And top of the 7th, I hit a 3-run bomb, and we're up 7-4, and then they come back in the bottom and tie it up and then beat us on a walk-off, like, swing and bunt against Matt Moore, who's, again, in the bigs now. But the kid that hit it went on to play college football. He was a receiver, just freaky fast. Yeah. But this kind of segues into a conversation that I had with Andrew last week about you, because I feel like guys like you, specifically, kind of like Cade coming up too, but I was like, man, Dallas moves like a big Sean O'Malley. And that's because, like, you come from a different sport. Like, you come from a basketball background. And we're starting to see this new generation of MMA fighters that are coming from different sports. And not because MMA fighters, as you know, like, you look at, like, the old days, they're just the toughest dudes there. But now you're starting to see, like, actual athletes kind of transition in the game. And you always come to my mind when I think about that. So let's get a little bit into your background and kind of why you got into fighting.
Well, I think in regards to fighting, like, the matriculation of fighting has evolved a lot, like anything else. It's just evolved at such a fast rate, and I think because we're kind of at that perfect age where we got to see the very, very beginning of the sport. We didn't get to see the very beginning of NFL, NBA, MLB. You know what I mean? But like, you know, in the 90s when the UFC and everything was starting to come up and MMA was really growing, even then compared to now, it's completely different. Yeah, I believe it was a bunch of tough guys back then who really, like, man, had to blaze a trail that is quite daunting, like, when you think about it. Like, they weren't making any money. They didn't have the ESPN contract,
Right,
and all
the
these other things.
sponsorships. Yeah, Monster wasn't paying these guys. Because that's where, as you know, a lot of these guys are making money off sponsorships now.
Yeah, nowadays. And I mean, yeah, like anything else, the guys at the top are the ones really making the money. And there's still a struggle and a grind, of course, like any other sport. But it's become a sport now that's like respected and worldwide now. And it's so cool to see that. But not only from a business standpoint, but also just athletically, it's also really evolved as well, where it's not just badass tough guys. Now it's like sharp athletes who take it very serious 365 days a year. I would say you were complimenting my athleticism and the way I move, and I think it's because of that, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
And everything I put into it was luckily starting at a different point, I feel like, athletically, because like the foundation I had already had growing up, like you were saying. I grew up playing basketball.
Yeah.
I grew up playing all sports, like most kids, trying a little bit of everything. Being in Texas too, sports is so competitive. It's such a big state. There's athletes everywhere, not just out of Austin, but Houston, Dallas. They're producing professional athletes, Olympians. So
what was the stat that, like, in the Olympics, Texas, if they were on their own country, they would have been like 6th or something?
Yeah, something crazy like that. So I've been around athletics my whole life. I kind of was steered more towards basketball. Tall.
Yeah, how tall are you? 6'3"?
6'4".
6'4", yeah.
6'3.5".
I always tell Freeze, I'm like, dude, every time I see Dallas, he gets taller. I'm like, that boy's still growing.
No, and maybe, man. I even still look like a boy a little bit.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
I haven't even hit my
Lone Star Playboy.
Haven't even hit my second growth spurt.
Yeah.
That would be something, right? I jump up to 6'11". Actually,
Imagine.
we're going back to
Steph and Struve. I'm gonna be heavyweight.
No, for real.
Yeah.
But so I grew up playing basketball. That was the route I kind of went. And with basketball, number one, just being on my feet and being a conditioned athlete was like something I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
So just getting my heart rate up and being comfortable with that and having a strong cardio base was something that has translated so well to MMA. That's number one. I believe I have a weaponizing pace, not just because of my hard work, but because I've been an athlete my whole life.
For sure.
Specifically a conditioned athlete, you know what I mean? Basketball is, there's a lot of correlations to basketball and fighting that I found that I like. You have to be solid offensively and defensively.
Yep.
That back and forth, that volley of being switched on offense or defense is constantly going back and forth. Footwork, the conditioning.
Yeah. For sure, the conditioning. I mean, you guys have to, like, kind of like soccer, you guys have to have that good aerobic base so that you can have that high anaerobic peak. Exactly. So that's the thing, like in fighting, as you said, like that really transitions to like, yeah, I have endurance. I can go 5 rounds, but also like I can stick it to you for 10 seconds solid and then bounce back and be okay the next round. I can pursue a choke. If I don't get it, I'm going to be okay because guess what? I got a good gas tank.
And it's not just from that as well. Like, obviously, we're being humble. You're my strength and conditioning coach as well. And so we also cater everything to that and make sure that we're doing the proper things so that kind of stuff can perform properly.
For sure.
But having that background as a child definitely helps, I think, as well.
Yeah. So what made you want to get into fighting? Because again, basketball player, athlete, like you
Yeah.
move well, good-looking dude, educated dude.
Yeah.
What made you want to get into fighting? Because those kind of things, most people that hit all those check marks that I just read off, don't want to get into fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything I do that I genuinely want to do, I believe I'm great at.
For sure.
It comes pretty easy to me. If I find myself innately drawn to it. Fighting was one of those things, but very peculiar, like you said, right? So as far as like childhood love, basketball was that. Like I enjoy basketball. It was very fun. I loved the culture of it. I loved the camaraderie of my teammates. But yeah, it was a childhood love. It was just fun, you know what I mean? As soon as I graduated high school, I really didn't like care much about it at all, and I wanted to make sure I stayed in shape. I went on to play college basketball. I suffered a knee injury, nothing serious. Got it taken care of and cleaned up, and in my recovery, I realized I was going to need to find something else to stay into shape.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, skinny dude. It's not like I'm some like bodybuilder. I've been hearing about like jujitsu, and I was like, I'll go try that.
Yeah,
like, I think it would be cool. Like I used to make fun of like karate kids growing up. Like all my like best friends who did karate, I would like laugh at them and say I could beat them up. It wasn't real.
Yeah.
Now they're all adults with jobs and 401ks, and I'm the one who's doing karate.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you're telling me right there, like karate is not very applicable to actual fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Should have done Muay Thai, stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like breaking it down for them at
Right.
that
So
age.
it turns out karate actually isn't good for MMA.
Yeah, so I started doing that, and it just evolved into what it is today. Really like not glamorous at all.
Yeah. So you started off with grappling.
Yeah, I started off
Interesting.
because it's not like they really have gyms. I mean, they may market it that way, especially nowadays. But even like 8.5, 9 years ago, when I like first started training, it's not like MMA gym. Boom.
Sure.
And I just show up and everything's there. Great. It's like marketed as a jiu-jitsu school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then maybe depending on which place is closest to you, that you walk into, you get lucky. They might have a striking coach in there, a wrestling coach, an MMA program.
Yeah.
But not really. I mean, even
that's a
9
good point.
years ago, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Like,
So I kind of had to, and it's not like I had somebody holding my hand through it either. I just did what I just did it all on my own. I just kind of like Googled like a jiu-jitsu gym nearby.
Oh, no way.
You know what I mean? Went to that. Trained for like a few weeks, and I realized, I was like, something's not like right. This is like, everyone was nice, but I was like, this isn't like, they're not like a fight team. They don't have like, I was like, how do you find that? And then you realize a lot of these pros, you know, guys I'm watching in the UFC at the highest level, they're really just customizing and constructing their own camp.
Oh, yeah.
They're having to bounce around, bring in people. You realize like there's a lot of moving pieces to it actually, where I was coming from ball sports growing up, where there's like a specific like trail to follow
You have
from
multiple
childhood
coaches
all the way up.
Yeah.
It's like all very catered to you and very spoiled.
Yeah.
And I actually really respected the fact that, okay, this is something you want to do, Dallas. You're not going to have it handed to you. You're literally going to have to do it all on your own. You're going to have to outsource these things. You're going to have to hustle. You're going to have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And I did that until I got to a place where I'm at now. You know what I mean? And it's a constant grind. But where I got really lucky was I had realized I needed to focus on strength and conditioning. I had found a gym down here, On It Gym, where you work at now. And at the same time I had found it, I realized that they have an affiliation with 10th Planet. Eddie Bravo is like good friends with you know, the guys who own it and stuff.
Yeah.
Through their friendships, they were able to have they were able to bring one of the 10th Planets, like a franchise, so like multiple locations. They were able to bring a location to Austin. So I was able to realize like, whoa, this kind of just fell in my lap. I came here just for strength conditioning, thinking I'm gonna have to drive around town and go to all these different places. Now it's all in one. So I was like, okay, I'll just do jiu-jitsu here. So I started training with Curtis Himbroff, black belt, owner of 10th Planet Austin. When he first moved out here, he had left headquarters, 10th Planet headquarters.
Where's that? In Cali?
LA. Yeah.
In LA? Okay.
Yeah. I want to say it's in Hollywood.
Okay.
I've actually never been to headquarters. But Curtis was out here training jiu-jitsu. So I started doing that, just having it all in-house. And then I met who you were just referring to, Andrew Craig.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, Andrew Craig was still in the UFC. So now I'm meeting a guy who's in the UFC. I'm seeing it's a real possibility. There's a guy from my town who's in the UFC. I see, like I said, like the way he's kind of like moving around and
Conducting himself.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, that would be awesome to like pick his brain and learn from him.
Yeah.
Well, then he started coaching. You know, after 10th Planet had maybe like started growing a little bit and it grew pretty quickly. Like then Andrew would coach some classes here and there, and I got to actually be on the mats with him then. And that's just like I said, that's not like the pretty part. Like that's just like the monotony of every day of training.
Sure,
and really funny because like I didn't even realize, like I knew what I wanted and it's everything I have right now.
Yeah.
Everything I have right now is everything I wanted. But I didn't realize at the time just how hard and that would be and how lucky I am to have had it all play out the way it has. But yeah, so it was constant training, and then eventually I started getting a little better, and then Andrew was in fight camps and stuff for some of his like last few UFC fights, and I got to even just move around with him a little bit, and so I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I can do this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna make it. Like, there's levels to this. I didn't grow up doing this.
Yeah.
And then
A different animal.
yeah, but then I started talking to Andrew a little bit. Like once again, somebody who's been there, done that, and doing it. And he's like telling me, he's like, oh, I didn't get into it till I was older.
Yeah.
I was feeling really good about that then. It gave me some confidence and
For sure.
just kept my head down and worked. And man, like I said, a lot of little stories in between. But now we're at a point now where that dream is really starting to come into fruition. But it kind of goes back to that old saying of like 10 years. Really, anything you want, like it takes a while. It takes those 10 years.
Yeah.
To really get there. Not always the case, but it takes time.
Not always the case, but definitely, man. I think, like you said, I mean, you went on to win the 170 amateur belt for Fury, and now you're 2-0 as a pro for Fury. It's like, it seems like you had this vision of who you wanted to be.
Yeah.
You saw someone that took that path as well, and you're like, oh, I can do it.
Yeah.
Man, I've taken a very long and scenic route to where I am as well, because I didn't graduate college. My junior year of college, playing ball, I'm home in like spring, and my dad passed away, and he had a heart attack when I was home, and so I quit. I quit playing college ball. I was like, nah, I got bigger things to take care of now. And so I went back and took some classes, hated it, man. Like if I wasn't gonna be a college athlete, like it was so hard for me to just be a student. Like I've never been a good student.
What was your motivation? Yeah.
Right, exactly. My motivation was to get a degree and work a job. I mean, I had a friend that got a degree in biology. He went on to be a manager at like PetSmart, and like my ex she's my now ex, she got her degree in business and then like her master's in like sports administration, and she's a cop now. So I'm seeing all these people that like I valued like spending like killing themselves to get these degrees.
Going into debt?
Yeah, going into significant debt. And I was like, man, that's just not for me. And then my little sister ended up working at a front desk at a gym in Albuquerque. And I had worked a couple front desk jobs at gyms, and I was like, you know, I'm staying around athletics, like this is what I want to do.
At least it's a little lively,
right?
Gives
yeah,
you
and
something while you're
it's
trying
similar
to figure
crowds, like people, like people in a gym used to be athletes or are athletes or want to be athletes. So you kind of get to stay around the same kind of people, same kind of like talking about the camaraderie, like the locker room culture of being an athlete.
Morale's positive.
And I ended up getting my USAW Olympic lifting certification.
Okay.
Because my ex at that time, she was a strength coach at the University of New Mexico. And the head strength coach there was his name was Joaquin Chavez. He was doing the cert for USAW. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, let me get into that. Like, because college athletes should do Olympic lifting to some extent.
It's a great base.
Yeah, it is, especially, it's a very explosive base, which translates to a lot of sports. And so I did that. And then my little sister working the front desk at Define Fitness in Albuquerque, she's like, hey, like you're an athlete, you have that certification. She didn't even know what it was. She's like, you have that certification. She's like, why don't you do like personal training, like just for now, like get a part-time job, personal training. I'm like, all right. So I went to Defined, talked to them, and showed them, gave them the cert. And they're like, all right, well, we'll accept this for now, but you need to get a CPT, a Certified Personal Training certification. And I got like the most basic one. But I'm over there, I'm training my general population clients, kind of like athletes, like just trying to get them to move better, feel better.
Getting your reps too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Definitely getting like my practicing because, man, a lot of those first clients were like knee replacement surgery, like hip replacement.
Pace.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I didn't sign up to like walk these like 75-year-olds from machine to count reps, but I'm so grateful that that's like how my experience started because I learned like such patience with clients. And
I feel like everything's been better since.
Yeah, honestly.
No, but it's easier but harder to work with like different clients in general. There's going to be like pros and cons to it all.
Yeah.
But it probably was really good for you from a foundation standpoint.
Yes, because like I'm like at that time, could I have worked with athletes? Yes, but could I have worked with a wide variety of clients?
Right.
Like that, working with that elderly population that I started off with, like again, helped me so much because they were super appreciative for like the most basic stuff. So it was actually like very rewarding. Like, oh, I can get in and out of my car now after my knee replacement surgery. Like, thank you so much. I'm like, damn, that really like sets the tone. Like,
and then you're like, dang, okay, I really am making a difference.
Yeah, exactly. I really am making a difference. And then so I knew nothing, and I was having this conversation with Andrew last week. At that time, I knew nothing about MMA.
Yeah.
This was like 2016. And I knew the big names, like I knew GSP, I knew
heard
John
of it,
Jones.
obviously, yeah.
Yeah, but all I used to watch ESPN Classic Boxing with my dad, so like, Ali, Foreman, Frazier fights, stuff like that. And then I wrestled for a semester in high school just to like stay in shape between baseball and football. So that was it as far as like my MMA knowledge went, or martial arts knowledge. And then Claudia Gadelia comes in. And everyone's like, oh, we, Define's sponsoring this big UFC fighter. She's in Albuquerque to do her MMA training. I had no idea who she was, but this girl that I was talking to at the time, she was a big MMA fan. I was like, oh yeah, this big time MMA fighter just came in. She's like, oh, Joanna Jędrzejczyk? I was like, no. I was like, no, that doesn't sound familiar. And she's like, is it Claudia Gadelia? I was like, yeah, that's her name.
Her rival.
And she's like, oh my God, like she's training there? I was like, yeah. And she was #1 ranked contender in the world at that time. Exactly. Just came off her second fight with Joanna. Just finished being a coach on The Ultimate Fighter. And so she's in there, and she's training with a trainer she brought in at the time. And I kind of pick his brain, like when he has moments, like when she's running late or whatever, I'll talk to him about stuff, and then he sees how I'm training my clients. And then so one weekend says to me, he's like, hey, I'm gonna be out of town for a wedding this weekend, but can you cover Claudia for me?
Boom.
Yeah, I was like, absolutely. He already wrote out the program, and I'm like, yeah, listen to me. And the girl that I was talking to, she was Division I soccer player at UNM. So I'm like, hey, let me put you through this MMA program that this guy wrote out for Claudia. Yeah. I was like, let me put you through this workout real quick. And so I, again, like practice run, like a rehearsal. And so I did. It was so funny. And then I trained Claudia. She goes on. She wins her fight that camp. She comes back to Albuquerque, doesn't bring that strength coach back, hits me up. She's like, hey. And what's funny is I don't even think I had her number, but we were friends on Snapchat. So she hit me up over Snapchat. She's like, hey, I'm coming back to Albuquerque. Do you want to be my strength coach? I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Sick.
Yeah.
Just happened naturally, yeah.
Yeah, and then, just again, long scenic route, because I wasn't qualified to do any of that stuff, like to train Claudia and then to go on and work for Lawrence Herrera. And,
for that to be like your first professional athlete
client. Number one contender, just fought for the title. Like, Claudia's a big deal.
Also, not to distract you, it's still on topic, but I can't think of, like, from a trainer standpoint, we talked about, like, baseball, basketball. We have these like ball sports and these like ingrained sports that have a set off season, that have a set schedule. I feel like it's a lot easier to build out a program and map out your year for your athlete. But kind of explain real quick just how hard and in-depth and personalized training a fighter due to fight camps and having to work around sparring and injuries and
peaking at the right time and not overtraining.
That'd be the hardest.
Yeah, so funny you bring that up because it was actually, honestly, I think it was even before I started training Claudia, but right around that time, I started thinking about training fighters and like how diverse the sport is and how you have to encompass all these other things. And so I'm writing these like insane, like ridiculous workout plans. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, I gotta, like these guys are just used to going hard. I gotta kill them. Yeah, I gotta dog them. I gotta smoke them. And thank God I met Lawrence Herrera, who, like I said, he's the owner of Performance Ranch.
Yeah.
Because at that time he was John Jones' head coach. He was Cowboy Cerrone's head coach. He's working with a lot of guys out of Jackson Wink, and he opened up Performance Ranch with Cowboy Cerrone. And man, I couldn't have asked for a better mentor to get into the sport because he was so patient.
Best case scenario.
But also I feel personality-wise, like him and I are very, very similar. As far as just good dudes trying their best, like he's very understanding.
Shows up every day.
Shows up every day. He was a phenomenal coach, but at the beginning of Performance Ranch, he was just out and about so much, just always riding his mountain bike, and we're like, man, we need you in the building, doing stuff. But that's where, like I said, I feel like him and I had a lot in common. And so he was able to
Not
connect
gonna
with
make
me.
things harder than what they are.
Yeah, so he gets me into all these ideas and philosophies for training fighters. And
I mean, outside of him, who in the States had a stable of fighters like that from a strength and conditioning standpoint?
Maybe Phil Daru. You look at a guy like Phil Daru. Now you look at Eric Telly out of Landau Performance up in Denver.
So a handful of guys.
A handful of guys. But even at that time, Telly was just, he was working with some guys, but now Landau Performance is big with all those Denver camps. Yeah.
But even 8 years ago.
8 years ago, man, yeah. I mean, it was Lawrence, which is so funny because I always tell people I wish he had more of a presence online because he has so much to say. Yeah, he's just, he does his thing. He helps people and keeps to himself. I love it. I respect the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But you look at a guy like Phil Daru, who was working with
great online presence.
Great online presence, yeah. Good personality for it, and he's like that big buff personality guy.
Yeah, he's not salesy either. He's solid.
No, yeah. I like a lot of his stuff. He incorporates a lot of powerlifting stuff, which I find interesting because I think that's more of his traditional background.
I feel like he's even changed a little bit over
the
years.
Yeah. No, I've been watching his stuff for a long time.
That's what's cool about having that content is you can.
Yeah, and it's such and like you brought up, it's such a new sport. That training for it is still new. That's why you're not you're starting to see. I was telling someone the other day, you look at people, like you said, even within the state or in the States, as much as I hate to toot my own horn or pat myself on the back, maybe I am one of the top 10 MMA strength coaches in the country.
Right, because
of who I've worked with and the consistency that I bring to the table, and again,
quite literally on paper.
Yeah, and I think I would have a lot of people that would stamp that, and be like, yeah, this guy has helped with these camps and he's done well with them.
Yeah, there's other guys that have been involved in the NFL and NBA and these big organizations for longer and probably have crazier resumes.
Yeah.
Probably have crazier money, but once again, that's what's so crazy about our sport. It is still in its infancy.
Yeah.
And you are a part of that initial wave, especially from a trainer standpoint. That is crazy. And
your
mentor, it all kind of worked out perfect. So funny being in Albuquerque, this little.
Yeah, no, that was the funny thing.
It's not like it was in some big city either.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't popping off in Miami or something.
Right.
Yeah, Albuquerque, which again was I kind of right guy, right time training Claudia.
Your sister working at that gym.
Working at that gym that kind of got my foot in the door.
It's crazy how
and that's all segued to me getting here, not only because of the fighters that I got to work with through my experience in Albuquerque and working at Performance Ranch with Lawrence, but even meeting Lawrence himself and having his connections to On It is the whole reason I came out here.
Well, co-sign you. I mean, that's any job, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But Lawrence is the kind of guy that he's not gonna put his name on something that he doesn't think's gonna succeed. Yeah, he's a stand-up dude. And him and Esteban Lucero was another one of my mentors in Albuquerque that he worked with. He works with more your traditional sports, especially high school kids and college kids. But he was training Marcin Tybura when I first met him, because he was training at Jackson Wink. So I got to pick his brain a little bit too about some of his ideas with training. So him and Lawrence were actually working together. But yeah, man, I've been so fortunate to have the mentors that I've had and the connection. Oh, I was super blessed, dude. And like I said, at the time, when I was doing it, it was almost at imposter syndrome because I'm like, man, I didn't even graduate college. And then it's so funny because
also, what university would have taught you how to be an MMA trainer for some of the best fighters in the world?
None.
So it doesn't matter either way.
Even I started taking classes for exercise science, and
Do we do any of that stuff?
No, but like the guy that ran the program at UNM, his name was Lenny Kravitz, Dr. Lenny Kravitz.
That's a sick.
So funny.
With a doctor in front of it?
Oh yeah. He ran the whole like kinesiology program. Yeah.
I like that.
And he looked like I don't know, kind of like somewhere between Seinfeld and Kramer, just like a wild-looking dude,
Didn't look
glasses.
like Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah, but he was so excited about like talking about exercise science that it would make you excited, which is something I always, again, I don't use anything that I really learned in college.
But you appreciated that.
I appreciated that, like, because I was like, man, again, I hated being a student, but he was so excited about what he was teaching that it would make you excited, and that was like a lesson I picked up from him. Yeah, for sure. I was like, man, make people like make sure people are having fun, and they'll be attentive.
Just showing up and having the right energy. I mean, hey, Nick, I'm going out of town for this wedding. Can you train Claudia?
Yeah.
How much of that is just being there and having good energy?
Yeah, be present, be available. And that's what I tell like a lot of our young coaches. That's what I told Gino at Onnit and some of our like interns that we've had since. And I'm like, because I recently had an intern ask me, he's like, hey, what's the quickest way to? And I don't think he meant to word it like this, but he said, what's the quickest way to make it?
But
I'm
you know
like,
what you meant,
and he meant like, what should I be doing?
Quickest way to make it.
But just the way he worded it out, it kind of like rubbed me the wrong way in the back of my head, and I didn't like take it out on him or anything, but I was like, I told him, I was like, you're asking the wrong guy. I was like, I didn't make it quickly. But that leads me to like, I think it was last week in church, there was a quote that said, God doesn't call the anointed, he anoints the called. Meaning, even if you feel you're not right for that job, but if God's calling you to do it, then you are right for that job.
Yeah, I think about like God's favor. And I think about like how he, I don't even know how to word it, just how he picks and chooses, how he hands out those favors.
Yeah.
I think it's quite simple. I think if you're showing up with the right heart, consistently, working hard, then you'll see that. You'll see more of that.
Well, it kind of goes back to what you were saying about always believing you're going to be great.
Yeah.
And I had this, it's funny, this conversation's come up multiple times with me over the last couple of weeks, but I don't know if it's weird or what, but I've always believed that like I was meant for greatness. And whether that was my faith in God and his plan for me and just I've taken multiple blind leaps in my life that have led to great things.
Scary.
But I was even telling one of my good friends the other day, I was like, even when I was a little kid and I was homeless and I was like just going through extreme poverty, I was like, man, I wonder who's gonna play me in the movie about my life. Because I was like, there's gonna be a movie about my life. I know there's gonna be a movie.
You're very like, you have this natural like positivity to you. Not like in a superficial way or like a very like boisterous, like positive, like cheesy way.
Yeah.
Almost this like what do you say about that? Like, how do you feel like you've always been that way?
No. I mean, on the surface, yeah. On the surface, I always portrayed that. I pretended to be that way for a long time because I was a very angry and upset child.
Yeah.
But yes, my mom, she'll say like I was always like a happy, like a good kid, and I never really like caused any like legit trouble with school or like, you know, when I was younger, you know, of course, like, you know, a little like pocketing like a pack of bubble gum at a grocery store, whatever like that.
Heart.
Yeah, but it was more like Aladdin, you know, like Aladdin. Like that was like I was like, yeah, I was stealing, but not because I wanted to, but like I wanted that pack of gum. Like I was just so broke, and I again, I never had a bad heart, but I was an angry little kid because of what we didn't have.
How to deal with all that,
Yeah, but I've come to be honest with you, when my dad passed away in college, because like I said, dude, I did CPR on him. Like he was in my arms, and
which is.
A wild time, dude. But I know that I was put there for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't think any of my other siblings could have handled it the way that I did, and even some of my other siblings, like their experiences through that trauma has like led them down different paths, and life's too short. And I think that was a lesson that I really learned. Because my dad was, again, like kind of, he was an angry guy when I was younger, but again, good heart. Like he always meant well. He was a good dude. Everybody loved my dad.
That's because he bled the tricolor.
Yeah. Colombian, exactly. Yeah, you know. Yeah, exactly. Like Colombian blood's different, dude.
They have great hearts, big hearts.
Yeah, and it was standing room only at his service when he passed. Like I didn't know most of the people there, but he was just, everybody loved my dad. And I always jokingly say I'm the favorite son of the favorite son.
Yeah.
And I think I've been through so much at a young age that I am able to be that like genuinely happy person now.
Yeah. That comes with peace.
Yeah, but
Like
it comes with like guidance, like helping other people, dude. Because that truly, like, that's why I do what I do for a living. That's why I'm a strength coach, because it's the best way I know how to help people. But I think seeing other people go through it and like knowing that, like what I've gone through, like I don't want to put other people through that, like struggling, needing help.
Yeah.
Like I want to help as much as I can, because I know how much it meant to me when people did help. And
you only want to add the things.
Yeah, and that's why I'm on this earth, is to help people like be happy, help guide people to a brighter light that can hopefully help them shed light on others.
Yeah, and I think it's like the classic saying of like your clients, the people you work with, the lives you've changed, because it's not just physical. You know, you think of strength conditioning coach, like it's not just the physical, because that's the first step. From there, your mind starts to get stronger too.
Absolutely.
Everything. So it really is. It's your temple, and it is that important, and it is that serious.
Yeah.
And I think as much as you give to your clients, they give to you as well. Seeing them grow, seeing us grow, you grow with us.
Yeah, especially because like, again, thinking that I was gonna be like famous my whole life, I had this, it's so funny, I was telling somebody, I was like, man, I thought I was gonna play for the Cubs and the 49ers.
At the same time?
Like I was gonna be Deion Sanders, I was gonna be Bo Jackson. I was like, I'm probably going to the Hall of Fame for both. I'm gonna have to see which one I really love to commit to.
I have to come up with 2 different speeches.
Yeah, that was me at like 8 years old.
You
like,
already had the
that.
speeches?
Yeah, dude, I'm like, I'm gonna be the first white running back in the Hall of Fame. Like, and,
Let's go.
Dude, yeah, like those are legit thoughts. And, you know, obviously athletics didn't pan out for me professionally. But I have found like a passion for me to help people achieve their goals, because again, I saw like what little help I got, I saw how much it meant. Yeah. And so I always tell people, like, I try to be the person I wish I had, whether that's a mentor, a coach, a brother. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have 2 awesome brothers, but like when I was younger, they weren't really around. Like it was tough times, man. And so like I always try to be the ear or the voice that I wish I had. And knowing the time and place to do that.
It goes back to like your coach talking to you before junior year. You obviously take pride in looking out for yours.
Yeah.
And leading from the front and helping in any way you can, whatever that means.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think any man should.
Yeah.
You know, and I know not everyone takes that, but like my first name, you look up the definition, it's victory of the people. It's not victory for self, it's victory of the people.
Yeah.
Like
That's so cool. I didn't know that.
And so what's funny is my second Muay Thai fight for Lion Fights, they call me up, they're like, all right, do you want a poster? Like, do you want a fight poster? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I work with this photographer, we take some cool pictures. And they're like, all right, do you have a fight name? Like, do you want your fight name on the poster? And like, as you know, like Muay Thai fighters tend to have like cooler fight names, like Bull Cow means like White Lotus, or the Soul Assassin, or Dream Killer,
Yatsen Cly, Fat Duck.
So funny. Stitch 'em Up, Joe Shilley. Like those kind of names, like they're to me, I think they're cooler than like, you know, Bam Bam or you know,
it gets even
Darren
crazier,
the
like
Damage Elkins.
The Thai names are sick, and yeah, they have way cooler nicknames. They'll also take on the name of their gym. It's a very traditional.
Oh thing. Yeah, for sure. So when they asked me if I had a fight name, I was like, my middle name is Oscar, but it means Spear of God. And so I was like, yeah, Spear of God. So on my fight poster, it says Nicholas Spear of God Gomez.
That's your name?
Yeah, and that's all it is just my name. But like I kind of.
Wait, what? That's actually sick.
yeah, Nicholas.
That's a sick Muay Thai name. That's like deep. Right? Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's my, and also like it's a tribute to my dad, because he always told me when I was little, which is really funny, but he's like, you should watch like Bruce Lee movies, like you should get into karate. Like speaking of karate, which is really funny, but he always wanted me to like learn like self-defense stuff. But being a baseball player, he wanted me to get involved in martial arts, and like being a baseball player, I was like, I play real sports. And so eventually,
it just wasn't glorified the same back then.
No,
and there
not
wasn't
then.
like I don't even know like the barrier to entry back then. It was like, were there even schools like that? Like, yeah, it was like.
No, not like, I mean, especially, I grew up in Moriarty, New Mexico. Albuquerque, New Mexico had like the big camps of like Jackson Wink and then Latrell Yee and Fit NHB, and now some other camps popping up. But Moriarty didn't have anything. We had a pretty good wrestling program. John Dodson went to high school with me.
Yeah.
I went to high school with him. He's a much bigger name than I was, but awesome wrestler.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my dad always wanted me to get into martial arts at this time, and I was fighting the day after 3 days after the 10-year anniversary of him passing away.
Yeah.
So it was right around that time of like the 10-year anniversary of him passing away, and so I was like, yeah.
Which is crazy to think, like, man, it's I've lived a lot of life since he's been gone. It's
Oh,
not like
dude,
it happened.
so wild.
Like I,
Got married, got divorced, like all kinds of shit in that time.
yeah.
And so my middle name is my dad's first name, Oscar, and I'm very, very proud of my Colombian heritage, as you know. So yeah, they're like, yeah, what's the fight name? I'm like, Spear of God.
Yeah.
Like, let's rock with that. So yeah, man, it's been wild, and like I said, it's all been like part of not only my journey in fitness, but my growth and who I am as a man, and my capability to lead, and what God has called me to do. And it kind of like, you're familiar with the story of David versus Goliath.
Yes.
Like everyone's familiar with like the big guy, because it's overused in sports.
The best story.
Right? Yeah, because like, everyone's
Everyone
like,
loves
it's
that.
the underdog versus the giant.
Yeah.
And what my biggest takeaway from that story was, they tried to fit David with the king's armor, because he was already called to like, all right, this is going to be the guy that's going to fight Goliath. And so they tried to fit him in the king's armor, and it was way too big for him, because David was just a boy at the time.
No, it was restricting his movement. He was
Yeah.
slow. It was, yeah.
And so he's like, no, God called me to do this. I don't need your armor. And so that was always like my biggest takeaway from that story, is like, yeah, sure, the underdog story is like the big takeaway. But for me, it was like, no, the story of God's plan. And I don't need the certifications. I don't need all this other stuff to work with people I've worked
Walking
with.
by faith.
Walking by faith, yeah.
Like you said, jumping into things sometimes without a plan or without a guarantee.
But if you feel called to do it, like more often than not, like your faith will be rewarded if you take the leaps that you need to take.
Yeah, I think entering any kind of action with boldness, it kind of plays back to like God's favor. I feel like it gets amplified, in my opinion, from what I've experienced. I can only talk about myself. I can only speak on my behalf, and
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it tends to go.
Yeah, and so for me, I think like all the, I don't even like to use the word trauma, because I feel like it's such like a clickbaity term now.
Well, it's
but,
kind of like a blanket statement now. It gets thrown around a lot as well.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah,
but like
it
the
takes away from it.
experiences I've gone through, you can call it trauma, but again,
Emotionally traumatic, for sure.
everything I've been through, like I am so grateful for, and not like in a way of like, oh man, thank God I was homeless, or like thank God my dad passed away, nothing like that, but like thank God that I survived those situations and I didn't have a victim mindset, because it's made me into who I am today. And I always tell people, it's like art. Like the darker your darks can be, the more contrasting your light can be. And I've had darks, and I feel like that allows me to be the happy person that I am today. Is like my light can shine bright because of how dark I've seen.
I have to agree 100%. Everyone's go back to trauma. Everyone's negative experiences are different. There's levels to everything, but I think no matter, talking about God, whatever you believe in, whatever religion you believe in, wherever you come from, I think we have to understand that life is suffering.
Mm-hmm.
If we had to kind of break down life in a few pillars, like suffering is definitely
For
one
sure.
of them. It's inevitable. As you get older, you essentially embrace it, and you understand that is what's made you.
Yeah.
Especially as a man.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as a man in today's society. What are we taking confidence from? What are we truly going through that's gonna empower me? Not a lot.
Yeah.
We live in a really dope time where so many things are handed to us. Our lives are pretty easy.
Yeah.
And being able to go through it like at a young age like that,
Yeah.
has without a doubt shaped you into who you are and why you're my homie.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's what I was telling Andrew. I was like, that's why I feel like I tend to hit it off with fighters the best, because they know that like struggle is not character building. It's character revealing. It's going to show you who
Yeah.
you are at your core.
Yeah.
And as you know, like you don't always perform to your highest level of training, but you will fall back to like your lowest level of training. So it's like, if you're prepared and you're always prepared, like you can fall back and be like, oh, I've been through harder times. And like you said, I get my confidence off of the struggles that I've made it through, because I know that there's,
it's a great thing to fuel you.
yeah, when you make it through those kind of traumas or those kind of situations, you kind of do get like, not necessarily bulletproof, but like break proof. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I know like my dog passed away last March, and that hit so hard.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, almost 15 years after my dad passed away. And it felt almost just as painful. And I'm like,
Well,
I know
it's
there'll
the
be
same
trauma.
emotions, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you thought about your dad, too.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
it brings all that up.
Yeah, because I hadn't felt that kind of pain since my dad passed away. And it was one of those things like, all right, I made it through that. I can make it through this. And don't get me wrong, I know there will be more trauma ahead. There will be more trials and tribulations ahead. But that just means there's more growth ahead. And I've been through enough to where I know that like I can make it through what's next. And so like you said, kind of building your confidence off of your experiences is huge.
And you have to, Nick, because dealing with not just a passing, but a very close passing, your father, I mean, you bear his name, you are half of him.
Mm-hmm.
To lose him and to watch it happen, quite literally right in front of you, that humility and understanding at that young of an age of, man, it's all gonna end.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen, maybe tomorrow, but it could.
Yeah.
So I have to make the most of all this. And I think I'm sure you have the mindset you do because of those experiences.
Yeah.
And yeah, it goes by quick, but if you're lucky, life is long.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you can do more good than wrong and touch enough people in a positive way. And that's probably why you move around with that mindset is because of that.
Yeah, I mean, a man's life is not important except for the impact it has on others. And that's a Jackie Robinson quote that I've always loved. And so, whether it was like Andrew's impact on you as a fighter, like showing you it can be done, and him like big brothering you, like you guys are super close, and it's awesome to see. And what's funny is, our good friend David Freeze, hopefully you get you on the podcast.
Most definitely.
I've been working with him for a little over 3 years now, and I don't know if he sees it, but I definitely see him as like a big brother. Yeah. And it's so funny because he made it to the levels that I wanted to in baseball, so I get to ask him like the coolest questions about like people he's faced or teammates he had, because he's played with like legit MVPs during their MVP year, like Trout, Bellinger, Pujols, like all these legends.
You peek behind the curtain, he's been back there.
Yeah,
he's actually seen it all.
Yeah, he saw the wizard behind the curtain for sure. And
because he's your boy, and also what's cool about Freeze, he does look at things like we do.
Yeah, and
he really does pay attention, so he can give you like honest breakdowns and really like.
Yeah.
I look at all y'all as my big brothers. I feel like
appreciate that. Yeah, for sure, man. And I mean, we've taken some dope trips together and shit like that. So, it's been so cool to come out here and make the friendships and the network that I have. And it's all been blessed by God, dude. Like I said, everything coming out here has just been me following the footsteps that have been laid before me.
Man, and it kind of just fallen in your lap, essentially.
Yeah.
Just by, once again, you putting yourself out there and showing up.
Yeah, like I said, be present,
crazy,
be available.
Like, formula, really.
No. Yeah, like I said, that young coach asked me, like, hey, how do I make it? I'm like, be present, be available. That's the only advice. Because I'm 36 now. I got into training at 28. I got into MMA at 29. I had my first fight at 30, second fight at 31. But the whole, like, everything I'm doing now, I'm at On It Gym. I'm a lead strength coach at On It Gym, which is like, it's a destination. Like, people love On It. People in the industry know On It. And
you didn't even really start living your life for you until you were like 28.
Bro, for real.
Yeah, like putting yourself first and like actually like
absolutely
doing what Nick wants to do.
Absolutely, dude. Because my early 20s, that's when I quit playing baseball. I started trying to take care of my family. Mid to kind of late-ish 20s is when I was with my ex-wife, got married. Like, I don't get mad at that version of me, who I was at that time. Like, I feel sorry for that kid because he did what he thought was right. But dude, I gave up on so much of who I was to try to support her, and not like in a bad way. She's good people. Her family's good people. But like, I was supporting her in her dream, and I gave up on who I was.
You put her and y'all's marriage first, as you should.
Yeah.
It's just.
But I didn't take care of myself.
Yeah.
And that's 100% on me. I wasn't doing my job as especially as a husband, as a potential future father. Like, I wasn't doing what I had to do. I was 230 pounds, like soft, not like a solid 230.
Crazy. I can't even imagine that.
Dude, yeah, it was wild, dude. I got pictures.
But that's. Hard times will do that to you. It'll break you.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I think I was just broken. Everyone needs to be broken.
Dude, thank God that I was broken the way that I was, because like I said, it's led me to who I am today, and I very much appreciate and am grateful for where my life is and where it's heading.
I feel bad for those guys who move around with this inadequacy. There's so many lost men out there, and that's a whole another conversation, an epidemic on its own. But But where I always feel, I don't want to say I feel sorry for people. That's not a good way to look at life or good energy to move around with. But I feel bad for people and for those men who don't learn those lessons at all, or if they do, it's like late in life.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually great that you were able to go through that early on.
Absolutely. The lessons, those seeds were planted early, but they didn't start to sprout until late in life. Like I said, I got into it like 28, 29, I'm 36 now. So like you said, you getting into fighting late, it's like, that's fine. You got in at the exact moment you were supposed to get in.
Yeah, and for me, like, I still got in, like...
Yeah, you're still a young man.
I still got in young, where I'm a little bit different.
You're young and, like, damage-wise, too, when you think about fighters.
Yeah. Where I'm a little bit different is, like, a lot of guys, maybe they grew up in some sort of martial arts, some sort of fight sport, combat sport, and then they go into fighting, and they've been doing it their whole life. That's what I thought. But also, at the same time, those guys get burnt out, just like any other sport. That same kid that you knew when you were 12 years old, the best kid on the team, he's selling cars now. Or
Dude,
no disrespect to that, but he's not in the league, really.
Yeah.
That's very rare to be the best forever and go on, and that doesn't happen. Like, a lot of the times these guys get burned out, they get injuries. I got into it a little bit later. I was 18 when I started doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Which is wild because you're still a boy. But like to think like by today's standards, like
that's like late. 18,
we know
19.
baby goat. When did little Austin get into jiu-jitsu? 4 years old?
Yeah, we have a kid who's the kid you're referring to.
Austin Hines.
He's been doing it for over 10 years. He's only 16. So he's been training just as long as me.
He
or
just
longer.
choked out a grown man the other day, didn't he? Right in a competition. How old was that kid that he choked out? When he like 20?
Yeah, he's a little bit older.
Yeah, he's a 16-year-old. Just choked out someone that can
I'm just
vote.
kidding. No, little Austin, I try to like keep his.
Keep him humble.
Keep him humble. Yeah, no, but he did. He's been doing it a long time.
Yeah, he's a savage.
But that's what you look for. And so like for me, I didn't get into it till 19, 18 going on 19. But it was perfect because I didn't have any damage.
Yeah, right.
I didn't have a jaded outlook on combat sport. I didn't have this anxiety because I didn't even know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
I was really just like a sponge. And we were talking about Andrew Craig. I never really had a mentor, honestly. Like, as far as like a relationship with a man who I could really look up to and like take me under their wing and mentor me, I never had that. I've honestly had to always be on my own. I've really had to learn lessons on my own and really figure things out as I go. And I don't know how common that is to really feel like you're moving around and having to just navigate your life just solo like that.
Yeah.
But it was perfect for me. I'm a lion. I have a mindset that is unlike anyone else.
For sure.
And so for me, I can handle it. But Andrew was the first man that I could actually like look up to. But he's not like a traditional mentor who's like sitting down and having these deep conversations and really like giving me the blueprint on everything, man. He's just honest.
Yeah.
And he listens and he leads from the front.
Yep. Yeah, Craig's a good dude.
You know what I mean? Everything he's asked me to do, he's doing it. So he gained my respect early on. And then from there, he really just like continued to like double down on that. Hey, just be a sponge, learn as much as you can, and it'll all come to you. I obviously wanted to fight right away. I wanted to like put myself out there and try all this stuff, but there's no, like we talked about early on in the episode, there's no like right path to fighting. It's not like the other sports.
Yeah.
So had I got into it,
Little League, middle school, like it's not a school sport at all. And maybe wrestling, but obviously that's still not the same thing.
So had I like jumped in head first, like maybe I could have lost confidence. I could have
lost teeth.
Lost teeth. You know what I mean? Like learn the hard way.
Yeah, you could have learned the hard way. This ain't for you.
So I really respected this sport. I do respect this sport, obviously, but I'm saying when I'm entering into the sport, I really respected it, and I really wanted to take my time. And Andrew was like a big part of that. He's like, hey, you're good. Because speaking on his story, I don't know if he had touched on it, but he got into the UFC and then got out right when he was kind of like realizing and understanding all of it and figuring it out. So to get in and get that exit, he didn't want that to happen to me.
Sure.
So he's like, dude, take your time. Do not rush it. Like, learn everything. And, I kept my head down and worked and trusted him. And so when it came time to fight, I could just hit the ground running. And that's what's happened, like you've said.
Yeah, so what's next? I mean, I know potential
so I have my
people ducking you now, man. You say you're a young lion. Like, everyone else is seeing it too, man. You're having a hard time getting a fight right now.
Yeah, well, so I had a great amateur career.
Yeah, champ for Fury. Fury's a big feeder system too, man.
Big feeder system. I mean,
yeah, they're right up there like LFA.
Yeah, anybody who's been an amateur champ for Fury has done well.
Yeah.
Regardless of gender or weight class. Like all those amateur champions, it's not just a Walmart belt just to have.
Yeah, it's not. Have you ever seen any of the King of the Cage fights? Not to knock on King of the Cage. I don't even know if they're still a promotion anymore, but
yeah, I was gonna say I don't even think they're around anymore. It's an older promotion. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a couple in Albuquerque, like in like ballrooms at like hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Fury's a legit promotion.
Well, but I've also done that too.
For sure. Yeah. You cut your teeth there too.
In a ballroom in Des Moines, Iowa. Had 4 or 5 fights in 2 days.
Yeah, Muay Thai
there's
tournament.
No glory to it. I'm losing money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I'm losing money to fight. I'm paying to fight in it.
Yeah.
And so that's just an example of many of those situations.
For sure.
That's just a crazy part of this game.
It's crazy.
But I was lucky to then be able to fight for Fury and got an amateur title and was able to close out my amateur career properly, because that's a big thing with combat sports in general, boxing, MMA. You have to really respect your amateur status and make the most of it. And you really need to learn your lessons. And Andrew put me in so many uncomfortable situations just in training. We can talk about fighting all day. Fighting's easy, to be honest. At least for me. When I get there, I step in, I get to the weight cut and everything. Like for me, it's easy. Like I breeze past these guys. Like I'm a winner, and so nothing's gonna get in my way. The fight is easy. It's
fun.
Everything building up to it that's so hard, man. The fight camps, the training, the getting beat up in the gym constantly. Like so, I was put in a lot of uncomfortable situations during my amateur career, not just from a competition standpoint, just day to day. And I really respected that and took my time with it. And I would suggest, if I was giving advice to any young fighters, really make the most of your amateur career and put yourself out there and put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because when you go pro, nobody cares. You will get swallowed by this game and passed up quick and embarrassed and hurt bad. So take your time with that and don't think that you've got it all figured out. And just because you want it all right now doesn't mean you need to start the race right now. Yeah. Because it's already started. You just don't know it yet. So, yeah, that's really what has built me as a fighter. Yeah. And so now that I'm pro, man, we're off to the races. Pro. Yeah, 2-0 with the same promotion, splitting people open. Yeah, doing like what I need to do.
Throwing those elbows in Fury now, man. You're bloodying people. I love it.
Yeah. I was. Once again, during my amateur stuff, I've fought in some Muay Thai fights. So I've been training elbows a long time. I've been training knees. And Andrew would always get in my ear, even when I was younger, like years ago. He was just like, hey, he's like, your knees are different. Like, your elbows are gonna open people up. Yeah. Just like those little, like, he might not even realize. Those are like little just confidence boosters.
Yeah, for sure.
That already start to map your subconscious. Then you're seeing yourself doing that. What if I do open people up? Then it starts happening. Yeah. Then you really, at least for me, you start getting delusional. And I was thinking about this when you were talking as well. You really start thinking that everything's happening for you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, Andrew now stepped into a big coaching role after he retired. We have all these young fighters now also around me to push me and to keep me honest. And we have the gym got even bigger and nicer. Yeah. We've got you right across the street. Everything is right there in this little, like, same little barrio.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, then Fury signs me after winning the amateur title. The promoters love me. They show me a lot of love.
Oh, you're sick on the mics.
Yeah, like
you cut a sick promo on the mics.
I'm definitely doing what I'm supposed to do as well. Yeah. But all these things around me are just happening, and I could obviously take the credit, but also, like, I'm a little delusional. I'm like, dude, I knew this is what I was meant to do. This is literally happening for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is
if you have faith in that plan, like undying, like unwavering faith in the plan that you see, like, cut out for you, like, if you truly believe it, like, it's there for a reason.
Bro, your sister texted you and she's like, oh, just come to the gym.
Yeah. Why don't you try to be a trainer? And now, like, I've worked with.
You can't help but think, this was definitely meant to be. This is all for me.
Right. Right, exactly. Again, even coming out here to Austin and getting on it through people that I met along the way for a plan that every room I stepped into, I felt like I was in the wrong room, but I was like, I'm gonna stay in this room until someone tells me not to.
And you did mention the imposter syndrome. It's always there. Yeah. I'm saying I'm aligned, I'm confident on all this. Yeah. But, like, there's obviously 1% of you that's like, oh, dude. but I'm not this guy.
Yeah.
Or there's like
until it turns out you are that guy.
yeah, exactly.
Because you're like, oh shit, I am that guy. I am, and that's been me coming to On It. Like for whatever reason, maybe it's like getting out from underneath Lawrence Ferreira's wing. But when I came to On It, dude, I fully like stepped into this role of like, yeah, I am that dude.
Yeah.
And
Well, you didn't have that safety blanket either anymore, so you
exactly,
had to.
I had to. Right.
Even
right.
if you were a little scared, that
Yeah.
1%.
Oh, yeah.
It's also just like that voice too isn't even real. It's not you.
No.
So that imposter
devil.
syndrome, yeah, exactly.
Telling you
That's
can't
just,
do it.
That's just negative. It's fake.
Yeah.
It's not even real. So like those moments of when you're feeling that imposter syndrome, just take a step back, get really analytical. This is the work I'm putting in. This is what I'm getting, obviously.
Yeah.
Let me not overthink it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Like I
just,
said, put good intent, put good energy. Like
yeah.
things work out.
And if you really do lead with your heart and set ego aside and even set mind aside, don't like just what does Nick want? What does Dallas want?
Yeah.
What's your heart like leading you? And when you do that, man, that's when you get favored, and that's when all
Right.
these things start happening for you. And like I said, you're almost like it just doesn't even feel real. Yeah.
Right. Right. So we're looking at a fight coming up for you, hopefully November 3rd.
Yeah, November. I actually just got a text driving up here to
Yeah.
do the episode with you. I've got this guy, man. So in MMA, the boogeyman has always been the American D1 wrestler.
Oh yeah.
That's always been the scary thing. Okay, well, have you
Yeah.
fought?
If he transitions to MMA, you're screwed. Yeah.
or have you fought the wrestler? Oh, you're a good fighter. What's your have you fought a wrestler though? Oh, a D1 American D1 wrestler. The pinnacle of Division I wrestling in collegiate sports in America is Penn State.
Right.
There's other schools,
Yeah,
Oklahoma
big
State, Iowa, but
yeah.
you have your powerhouses, just like in basketball. You got your Duke, your North Carolina.
Sure.
But Penn State is one of those, and the guy I'm set to fight in November, or supposed to, is a Penn State wrestler graduate. These guys, they've worked hard, man. They've
sure.
worked hard their whole life.
They grew up in a one-on-one sport, which is where I think wrestlers really have an advantage.
Right.
It's you versus another human, and it's combat.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And man, I didn't go that path, and I respect that path so much. But it is a sport, and fighting is not.
Fighting is not
is,
wrestling.
Fighting is fighting.
Yeah.
And I've been fighting my whole life.
Yeah.
Haven't been wrestling my whole life. I've obviously put everything into it these past 9 years.
Yeah.
Grapple almost every day.
Yeah.
But I fought my whole life.
Yeah.
And that's what sets me apart from these guys. It's not just my mindset, but I really am a fighter through and through. So no matter what your resume is, no matter what your experience is, no matter what you think you may know, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, and I will break anyone they put in front of me. So this guy that's set next, apparently now he's, I can't sign the contract. I'm wishy-washy.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he shows up. A lot of guys are afraid to lose that O, and when you got a tall, long, rangy, dangerous, all-around fighter like myself,
Good-looking dude.
just
Just gonna embarrass him in every way.
Well, I'm gonna erase that O, and he's gonna get a loss, and it's not a bad thing though. I want these guys to know that are set to face me in the future, whoever they are. It's okay to lose to me. It's a great thing actually. You'll get better from it. You'll learn from it, and probably go on and beat the next 5, 6 guys you fight. But me, I'm that once-in-a-generation athlete, and I only have a small window to show that. So for me, it's all gas, no brakes. He doesn't sign it, it's okay. I'll be there November, 4 fights in 1 year, and I will break whoever they put in front of me, like I have every single one of my opponents.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Cool. Shout out to Fury FC. Let's try to get that contract signed. Tell the people where to find you. Where you at on Instagram? Where you on any other social media?
Yeah, social media is something that is something I'm trying to do better about. I'm such a in-the-moment person. I'm so focused on this goal, and I'm so focused on our team.
Yeah.
And I really do have such an abundant life that I'm so busy living it that I really could do better with social media.
For sure. I'm awful.
Yeah, I do have an Instagram, Dallas Dodd, the only Trip D. Instagram is a great spot to find me. That way you can keep up with what fights I have coming up and get a little insight on my personal life and get to know me a bit more.
Yeah, let the fans know.
Eventually, though, as I grow, I will have a YouTube platform. I will put way more into my social media. I would love to eventually hire someone to help me with that kind of stuff as well, because it is a job in its own. I'm so focused on the task at hand.
Yeah. You need to focus on that for sure.
But yeah, but you can find me on Instagram and
Only Trip D.
and keep up. Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. That was dope.
God.
Great conversation.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, anytime. We'll have you back on, especially after this next fight. Get another dub and then see what we do.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Shout out to Simple Plan Nutrition. I've been working with them for the last few weeks. They've been keeping me fed. Love those guys. Good quality food. Give them a shout out on Instagram. Check them out. Order some food. Local based Austin based nutrition company. That's been the Lions Pit podcast. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, Dallas Dodd, Nick Gomez. We'll catch you guys next time.